Now, this is another thing that I want everybody to realize when kind of like sizing up your strategy
Mhm.
for who's going to blow up next. So producers always think they're going to blow up by working with a major artist.
Yeah. Pause.
Producers blow up when they collaborate with an artist and they blow up together. Look at,
Can't tell you how many producers, how many people have sat in that seat and said the exact same thing. Everybody has said that same thing.
it works. It's like okay, in our era, like we blew up with so right before us, it was like KE and Young LA and J Money. Boom. And then with Travis Porter, it was like DJ Spins. You know, cut it up. You know, like boom, like he produced, you know, Go Shorty Go. And then he went on to produce a whole bunch of like other big records. But then it's like Mike Will and 2 Chainz and Future, like that era. You know, it's like the producer always works with a young artist and they come up together. But there's a way to kind of predict and strategize these cultural shifts. And I call it the little brother theory. Okay. I'm going to break this down for everybody listening. Say there's 2 brothers, an older brother and a little brother. Older brother's coming up in the game and loves 2 Chainz, right? Little brother looks up to older brother. It's like, I'm going to like whatever you like. And then that little brother gets to a certain age and that little brother's like, you know what? I want my own identity. I don't want to like what you like. I like Lil Yachty. And the older brother's like, that's not real hip hop. That's trash. But you always got to understand this philosophy with working with new artists, that it's okay to work with artists that might seem like trash, because that trash, quote unquote, is only considered trash by somebody who's old. The young people like it because it gives them their own identity and they actually want their parents and their older brother to think it's trash. So I remember when 21 Savage first came out, guess who came to me and was like, Charlie, listen to my new artist, Meezy. Meezy sitting in the parking lot in his car of Street Execs. He's like, Charlie, come listen to this. Because I used to do the same thing with him back in the day with Travis Porter. I would like pull up to his house in Stone Mountain and be like, oh, listen to this new song. He'll be like, oh, this is jamming. So he then began to do that with me. And he's playing me 21 Savage because I'm this big industry expert, right? He's playing it for me and I'm like, Meezy, like, I'm not feeling this. Like, I don't get it. But the kids loved it. I thought it was like low quality. I thought it was like rapping a little bit off beat and it just wasn't that good. And I didn't understand why people were going so crazy over it. But I was old. I didn't realize the little brother theory. That sometimes when something doesn't make sense to you, you just got to study the game enough and know that usually it's going to be something that's trash that becomes the next wave. So you can't think you know everything. You got to study the game and you got to talk to the kids. And when you're able to hop on a certain wave because you studied the game and you get off of what you think is dope alone and you just start studying what the kids like, it'll help you as a producer so much because usually things go in the opposite direction, like a pendulum swing. It's like, what y'all see what type of pants I'm wearing right now, right? Let me show the crowd. So I'm wearing some baggy ass pants, right? Like,
okay, I see the off-white drip though.
Boy got on bell bottoms.
So then they're not exactly bell bottoms. They're just really wide leg pants. Now, why am I wearing these? Why am I wearing a 2-3X shirt from a thrift store? Because I study the kids. See, how old are y'all?
20.
26.
22? 20?
26.
All right, cool. You're in the right age group. You're starting to get a little too old You're ancient.
Number.
And I'm 31, but I study the game. I'm walking through this. I'm in Bakersfield, California, and I'm at this Zoomies, and I just like to go study the game, whether it's music, whether it's fashion, anything, culture. And there was this employee who works there, and he was super swagged up. He had these big old pants on, tucked in shirt, all these chains. And I was like, tell me about your fashion. He's like, everything's from a thrift store. Like, we wear pants from the 90s. Baggy is back. And I'm like, just studying the game. And I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, if you can get it at a mall, we don't want it.
Facts.
It's like, we don't want something from the mall. It's like, that's why we're shopping at the thrift stores. But this is how fashion, this is how cultural changes, because this is the little brother. He's 19 years old. And he wants his own identity. So if it's skinny jeans, so now when I'm looking at somebody fashionable, like if you're wearing like skinny jeans, you're not fashionable right now. When I see a kid wearing like the baggy pants, I'm like, oh, he knows what he's doing. So it's like studying the game. What's next in music? What's the next sound? Once you start studying the game and you see what the kids are liking, like y'all have heard of the term dad hat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know who created the term dad hat?
You, right?
Me. How'd that happen? I effectively changed the name of baseball cap. And now everybody calls it dad hat for the little boom. You got fitted caps, you got snapbacks, you got 5 panels, and you got dad hats, and you got trucker hats. Dad hats didn't have a name, but I was doing the clothing lines for 2 Chainz. And I tried to give this kid in LA a snapback. He looked at me like I was crazy.
Facts.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Disrespectful almost.
But no, this was 4 or 5 years ago. Like all my artists wore snapbacks. Everybody wore snapbacks.
About currently,
it was during that era.
Can't do it.
Okay, so this is how this happened. What you're talking about, it takes time for cultural trends to shift. So I try to give this kid a snapback. He's like, we don't wear them. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm the biggest artist in the game. They wear snapbacks every day. Like, nah, we wear Bryson Tiller caps. I'm like, what you talking about, Bryson Tiller cap? Like, I'm like a little brown, build, like got a little like emoji or something on the. I'm like, I know what you're talking about, but like, I'm like, all right, cool. So I do my market research and I'm studying the game. And I look up all these fashion trends in LA. And I see like the normcore fashion of like, y'all know how like YG tucks in his shirt and has like the high water, like pants? That's called normcore.
Right.
So it's like, I'm like, okay, like dressing like Steve Jobs is a thing.
Right, like a nerd.
Who gets you to slide over just a little bit for the camera?
Can't wait. I'm all over the place.
Very good.
Man, they hopped up, showed off the bell button. No,
For real. So I'm looking at the normcore fashion because I'm always studying the next wave. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to call these dad hats because dressing like a dad is cool. So I took it to 2 Chainz. And he was like, man, that's kind of corny.
So you were a little brother in this situation.
I was little brother in the situation. And 2 Chainz wore these hats. Like, he was fashionably like, right. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to come up with the name for it. And I wanted to have the best designs and I wanted to have the best online store. And I wanted to like change culture. It was already moving, but I wanted to own the name because people didn't know what to call it. And I damn sure ain't about to call it a Bryson Tiller cap. And I damn sure ain't about to call it a baseball cap because I can't rank number 1 on Google for it.
Thanks.
2 Chainz is
Big
like,
gems.
that's corny. And I said, bro, last corny idea I thought of made you $2 million in 30 days. Like, just trust me on this one. And that was the Dab and Santa. And which was super corny. But corny sometimes works. So I came up with the term dad hat. And I started running ads on Shade Room and Baller Alert to sell our hats. And people just started calling it. I remember about 2-3 weeks later, Fabulous and Wiz Khalifa got into a little Twitter debate about this fashion trend. And they used the term dad hat. And then that's when it became set in stone. That's what it's called. So they saw Fabulous, Wiz Khalifa, Baller Alert, Shade Room, and 2 Chainz
So it's almost like when you were doing these ads, it was kind of like a PR deployment too
Exactly.
on the term versus even just promotion.
Exactly. 100%. So Dad Hat then gets picked up by Zoomies, Tilly's, Macy's, Lids. It became the industry standard. But all this came from me talking to a middle school kid.